אני אשתף אתכם הבוקר בשיחה שקיימתי על הדרך בשבוע שעבר, כשאני יושב במסעדה באילת, וחווי, חבר טוב שלי ממירנדה, ואחד מהמדריכי צ'י קונג וצ'י הכי טובים שאני פגשתי בחיים, שעבורי הוא גם חבר, גם קולגה וגם מדריך. הסיבה לזה שאני משתף את השיחה, למרות שהאיכות של השיחה לא כל כך טובה, או ההקלטה, זה לא פודקאסט שהוקלט כראוי, אבל יש שם הרבה מאוד שיח על חיי היומיום, על להחדיר את התרגול בתוך חיי היומיום, עם העבודה, עם הילדים, עם המחויבויות כלפי בן, בת הזוג, וכל מה שהחיים מביאים. ואני חושב שזה יכול לתרום לכולנו.
We actually met quite some years ago in Miranda, um, and one of the things that kind of, well, first of all, immediately I fell in love with you and Nona, and we did a big seminar together in Israel. We practiced together. I consider you a colleague, a friend, and a teacher. I mean, you're a great instructor. And I know from speaking with a few of the guys that after Miranda was like, okay, now how do we keep this up in the midst of life?
Oh.
So that is having a job, a wife, kids, obligations, because waking up in the morning when you're in a place where all you do is you wake up, everybody's sitting and meditating. So most likely you're going to just go with the flow. You'll sit and meditate. It's no problem. That's what's being done. You know, we met a lot of guys there that have been all over the place. And they live this kind of monasterian life, devoting themselves to their practice and everything. For a lot of people, what I see and what I hear, and I get some emails and stuff about that, it kind of falls apart. And it's really, really hard to stick to it, to keep it. Now I've been living the full life, like you've been a full-time student. You were there for what, 11 years or so, right?
Not nine
Uh,
formal years, yeah. 9 formal years and then a couple years on off and on after that, yeah.
a lot of people that I've been speaking to, I always told them that I try to make my inner monastery. I call it in Hebrew המנזר הפנימי. And and I I have my tips, but I was kind of wondering what's your take on it. Um, I know a little bit of what you're doing because we've spoken before, and you told me about this little hut that you have in the mountains. Actually, not too far from where is your nearest city still Garberville?
The nearest city is Redway, Garberville. Actually, Redway and Garberville, which are sort of, approximately the same. There's brother sister, but yeah, definitely in that same area. We're actually just we're just as the crow flies over another mountain range from Salmon Creek, from
Okay.
where we
Yeah,
study.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. But it's one of the most beautiful places in the world, and maybe the coolest places to be, except for the summer fires. Did you have those this year?
This year, thankfully not. No scare in that regard. There have been a couple of fires, in the proximity of Northern California, but it's just been, luckily and thankfully to the volunteers, the volunteer fire department, we've been we've been safe.
That's good because we have seen a few years where it was not far from evacuating the place.
That's right. Probably one time that you were visiting, there was some smoke in the air that we had to contend
Yeah,
with, I think. Yeah.
yeah, there was serious, serious smoke on the way to Miranda. Also, I went through some very smoky areas. What's your routine? What does your routine look like today? You're living with Nona. You're both instructors of Qigong and Tai Chi. We're both
Yeah.
into it, so that makes it easier.
All
You guys
right.
have kids. Do you guys have any kids by now?
No, no, no
Not yet.
kids. No. Yeah. So let me say this. That's one of the things. that's one of the things that we've been talking about, is how much do we want to participate in that, in that regard, having kids and whatnot. And I will say that the COVID really destabilized us. Obviously, coming off the mountain was a process in and of itself to reintegrate, which was okay. And I prior to going to the mountain, I already was integrated and knew how to have a job, go to school, pay bills, pay utilities, have a discipline and a regimen. It wasn't until I started to, first of all, it wasn't until I started to compete in, like, Sanda. It's called Sanda, but it's also sort of a full contact competition. It wasn't until I started to compete in that realm and talk with others and train with others who also competed, that I really learned the value of the discipline, in terms of having a being like fight ready or competition ready. Oh, this is the work that's required to be ready for a competition or a fight of that nature, to the discipline that's
Just to
required
get the timeline, this is before Miranda.
before moving to the mountain and before doing my program. And that was a part of preparation in applying to the program, was how could I adjust and live with full-time training. And uh and then and then so prior to Miranda, I had to sort of prepare my mind, body, spirit for full-time training. So I had to go learn how to run long distances. I had to learn how to uh, lift weights and do resistance training. I had to learn how to organize and structure and discipline myself prior to, as an applicant, um, to the program. So that helped, and that really assisted in me being prepared and then saying yes and then being accepted eventually. First year I wasn't accepted because I was too old for the program. Second year there was some open spots and I had to prove myself more and mitigate any fears of my age being an issue. And then I went into the program. Okay, great. So went to the program, did the program. Obviously, lots of challenges and ups and downs with the program. Good days, bad days with the program. And now it's 10 years later. Wow, you never think you get to the end.
Yeah.
Day by day by day by day by day by day. It's like, wow, I'm just in the thick of it. But here we are. Even went through a COVID pandemic afterwards. And so that was really sort of destabilizing and difficult to, and again, find a stable base. So now this would be the first year. So I graduated in 2019. This would be the first year I feel myself and my partner have maybe a little bit of momentum in terms of stabilizing. She's got a job with a stable income. I've actually put my job aside and have focused on introducing uh, a career of teaching. So 2019, what are we in? 2024. So, but now so there's many variables. I was just talking with a few yogis this week about living on the mountain, living off grid, and then being open to the off grid lifestyle, and then also bringing the practices into the off-grid lifestyle, the meditation practice, the yoga practice, the resistance training, the attention focus, and then even having that calm, restful, re-stabilizing practice, which is hard when you're on a homestead, because when you see so much work that's needed around, it's also hard to relax.
Yeah.
And this is hard, and this is also without a family. So I don't even have kids or a family.
Well, I don't think that's really gonna make such a big difference. You know what I always tell people is like um, I do at least 3 or 4 hours of qigong and tai chi daily. I think I do something between 30 minutes and 60 minutes of resistance training every day. And I either go rocking, it's like I put my kid, I have this kind of like a rucksack where you put him behind you. He's like, I don't know, 30 poundish. It's like put some water and maybe some fruits. And I take my dog, and I also have a dog, a beautiful one. I see yours behind you, peeking in and out.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
that's not the dog from Miranda. This is a young one and a new one that you just
yes. Yep. Yep. We got a new pup. She's 3 years old. We got her about 3 years ago now. Yeah.
Yeah. My dog's 2 years old. In any event, that either I go rocking or I have this kind of like thingy that I don't know how to call it. It's like a crate that you put behind your mountain bike with this arm, and he's got this little seat where he's all buckled up. It's like that. And it's usually me, Itai, my little kid that you saw um, this morning for me, last night for you, and and we drive, I don't know, 20 kilometers into the desert, and this is how I keep my cardio going, either rooking up the mountains in the desert, or mountain biking through the desert with the tied behind me.
Okay,
Um,
son. Okay.
I do my meditation. That's kind of a 40 minutes to an hour session. I try to do the self massage that's after the embryonic meditation every morning. Although I do emphasize on things that are more important to me personally,
Yeah.
considering my health. I think everybody should do that. I mean, you should feel it and not just work through it. And a lot of people tell me, but yeah, man, this is already um, 2/3 of a full time job. It's like, how do you do the rest? I said, well, the only way you can do what I do is if you've made the choice and made that your job.
Yeah, totally agree. I want to I'm in the process of making my job my training at the same time. And this is what we learned from Dr. Young as well, is like he surrounded himself also with students so that he would have that whip to continue his discipline practice. How do you construct your life, make up your life in a way that's going to induce discipline and help to regulate your discipline? And so, just to come back, just to step back a little bit, one of the things that I've observed and I realized in post industrialization is where we haven't been given nor taught in school the appropriate ways to care for ourselves, mind, body, soul.
Absolutely not.
And exactly, and that's where the practice and that's where the discipline comes in. And I know it's difficult, and what I think is most challenging is having the knowledge and the skills and the know-how to tend and to mend the body when something arises. Oh, that's okay. I can relax because I know how to deal with it. Whereas if you don't know what to do and you're still running A to B to C to D all the way to Z with the body yelling at you, that's going to cause more stress because you don't have the know-how. And so the immersion experiences, the workshops are opportunities to get those know-how, those skills, and those know-how moments, and to integrate those into the body so that when you're away from workshop, away from immersion, and you're in life, you've had a little bit of experience to integrate it into life so that when you just have those smallest moments in regular life, you have a little bit of know-how, you have a little bit of skill to tend and to mend.
I absolutely agree. And I think that what I try to rationalize to folks quite often is something like, look, most folks these days are very good stashing away some substantial amount for their retirement so that when they retire, they'll have the means financially to support themselves and they can continue to live in a decent life, whatever they call a decent life. I mean, for some people that could be way more than I expect from life, and for some people it could be way less. And we don't think the same way, or we don't have the same commitment to putting aside some health for old age. And we know it today as science. I don't know if you're aware of it, but like VO2 max, you know what VO2 max is, right? It's like your maximum ability on the mitochondrial level to observe oxygen and function, okay? I'm sure that you have a very high grade. Mine is like 48, which for my age is on the top 10 percentile. And I'm positive. I know you're super fit, and I know you're there too. But try to think of it like this: when you reach below 20 as a man or below 18 as a woman, you probably will lose your ability to 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 sustain normal things like tie your shoes. You know, you will not be independent anyway. You will lose your ability to do stuff. And I'm not talking about hiking up a mountain like running like crazy or surfing high waves. I'm talking about walking the dog, going to the groceries, coming back with a few bags, getting dressed by yourself. You'll lose that. Now you can reverse engineer that. If you educate people to think of their old age in the same sense that they think financially about their physiology, about the fact that it's not only that you have to carry your body, it's actually your body carrying what is you, your soul. Okay? I'd like to be able to swim. I'd like to be able to walk. I'd like to be able to do the Tai Chi form. I'd like to be able to do my own shopping and come back with my grocery bags. I'd like to be able to tie my own shoelaces, definitely, and sit on the ground and play with my grandson. You know, it's like that. So if I want this when I'm 80 to 90, I need to be this fit in my 70s, and I need to be this fit when I'm 60. And I'm now 57. Am I on the right track? You can look at that in advance, just as well as you can say, okay, if I don't want to live with this standard when I retire, I better have this sum. Okay. And in a sense, I think that you need to raise the awareness of people to why this is important so that they give it the priority. And it's not like, well, in the workshop, everything was fine, but I don't have time for my health or my mental health in my day by day in regular life.
Interesting.
Nobody tells you that they don't have time to stop and refill the car because they'll never get where they want to go, whether that be work or pick their kid from high school. So it's I think it's a mind thing more than everything else.
Yeah.
And that's really easy to build when you're surrounded by, let's say like in Miranda or anywhere. I mean, if you go to Wudang or Shaolin or any monastery, you'll find the same thing. There's a bunch of people working really hard, meditating every day, all in. But everybody around them is doing just that. And life there does not expect you to do anything else. So you really have to go against the grain not to do it, almost.
Yes. Yeah. And like you said, in a way, you have to find that inner 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 monk, the inner retreat, the inner mystic, and that inner disciplinarian as well, based on a also an internal value system where you value longevity and you value mental faculty in old age, and you value um the small things of physical acuity. I think that's the right word. um
Yeah.
and what you really want. And so I'll just share a couple of instances. You know, I'm in my 40s. People say, oh, you look young. I'm, you know, people think I'm in my late 20s, but I have good genes. I've always looked like I was young, but I do qigong and tai chi as well regularly. And I'm not up there. And I know we have a large population of people that are 60s, 70s, and 80s and whatnot. Um, in my experience recently, I've just realized my eyes are changing. I've just realized my hair is falling out. Um, I'm dying. I'm dying. We're all
No, yeah, no,
dying.
no.
And that's important because I'm at that stage where the youth is no longer there, right? Because there's a long phase where I've got youth, and I've got and now I'm at that phase where what does it look like as I transition out of youth and then into this phase where I really need to be attuned, aware, and focus on how I age and how I want to age. So that's a value and attention and a focus for me as someone like that's in my body and knows how it feels to be out of sync or out of tune with my body. It's not comfortable, and I don't feel well, and then I'm not well, and so in a way I don't act well as well. And so I recently talked to, on the other end of the spectrum, I recently talked to a 19-year-old high school wrestler,
Yeah.
and he was distressed. And I was doing a workshop in public, and he was distressed. And he said, look, I just don't feel like I can relax. And this guy was like, you know, he was big, and he you could tell he could hold his own. He could hold his own, and he was active and good looking kid, very, you know, just I'd say in his prime, right? Physical, probably physical prime. But then there's that mental aspect as well. He's like, I
Too much
don't
inner
feel,
noise.
maybe I don't feel like I can relax. I don't feel at ease. I feel like I need a release. I need to calm. I think a lot. I have a lot of noise, as you said, and thoughts, and and I could relate to that. And I said to him, he says, I've tried meditation, I've tried mindfulness. I don't see that it's working for me.
Well, I don't
And
think that when you're 19, you're really set up for that yet. You know, it's like you got too much hormones, you got too much, I don't know what, but and you do need to understand why you're doing it. Not and the fact that your teacher says so, or it sounds cool, or you like the image of the guy who has this inner peace, just
yeah,
doesn't cut it. You need much more than that to actually do it.
my approach was, okay, this is a good analogy that I've heard, and that's been shared with me. Meditation is a little bit of an investment in yourself,
Absolutely.
and you don't even know when you step away from the mat, or when you step away, it's accumulating interest in the same way. Okay, I lost you for a second there. I think
Yeah, okay.
my Bluetooth tried to connect, but I turned off my Bluetooth. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So let's say that sitting and thinking of nothing, cleaning the mind completely, being empty, is an impossible task at some age, and it also grows on you. I couldn't do it when I was in my 20s. I do it so easily today. But, you know, I'm
Me neither.
57. Yeah.
Me neither. Yeah,
So,
yeah. Go ahead.
and it was real difficult for every 20-year-old guy to do. For me, for you. And man, we're both very dedicated. We both have proven for decades that we're into it. But let's see how you do like a very simple qigong. Let's say like Badwan Jin, okay? We take a really simple qigong series, not too long, and we try when we do that to think of nothing but the practice. No foreign thoughts. Fight for that. It's much easier because you have a lot of things to concentrate on that will hold you in, like feeling your center and your alignment, like feeling your rooting, your four gates breathing with every pull from the earth. And you can kind of really devote your entire mind to that and do not think of what you have to do next, of what somebody said this morning, or
Yeah.
oh shit, I forgot to. No foreign thoughts. Just keep yourself for these 20 minutes entirely inside the movement and inside your body. I think that is a fantastic preparation. If you do that for a few years and you you are used to controlling your emotions and your minds in an easier sense, then suddenly embryonic meditation is not so difficult. You're not. Tell me something. You and Nona, do you have like your morning routine that you do every morning, or like did you practice together every day, or
Okay, I'll tell you what I do. Um, it's rare for us to get together and practice together. But when we have those moments, it's we're on top of the world
sure?
because it's such a beautiful moment in time and in our lives and in our experience, and it really connects us as practitioners. That doesn't happen on a daily basis.
We
Also,
share the same problem.
and which is why it makes it so miraculous at the same time. It's the absence of it and then the presence of it. So for me, and we've played with how to integrate a regular schedule.
Like doing the summer, the Tai Chi and Qigong summer camp in Greece. Okay,
Yes.
everybody needs a vacation. So what are you going to
Yes.
do on your vacation? Bum out or teach?
Yeah. Yeah.
And somehow I'd rather hang with you guys while we still teach 6 hours every day. That
Yeah.
makes the vacation for me perfect. That's even.
Well, what you're speaking to is the overlap and the interface of values and value system. And you understand that you need time to celebrate, and then you also can't celebrate too much and go overboard because you also need to care for yourself and care for your body. And those can those can marry. So you asked about regimen. Let me just say, there is value and there is wisdom that I found to chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water. And I don't carry water, but I chop a lot of wood and I live off grid, which requires me to have to be on top of energy systems and water systems, walk up and down hills, carry things, and be attentive to the land and to my systems that keep me moving. So so there's that, and that's something to think about for people that are in urban areas, right? And people that are acclimated to the conveniences of post and industrialized living.
Yeah.
What do I do every morning? Every morning I do in bed. I start in bed. I start checking in. I start slowly moving, and I take at least 10 minutes. And I have built my life in a way where have the ability to do that, because I want to wake up naturally. I don't want to be tied to an alarm. And I do a number of spinal articulations in bed. I do breathing with those spinal articulations in bed. I do moving of my feet and my joints. I do a foot wave, if you will. I do a little bit of a foot wave to connect to my feet. It's just a little thing. I'll do abdominal massage to prime um, myself, my body, my metabolism, and my movement. And usually it stimulates the bowels, and that gets me out of bed. And then so the weekly practice, and it depends seasonally, but the weekly practice, at least two, maybe three, I'll hike up the hill, the steep hill, sometimes with weight, sometimes without weight. Um, and there's sometimes I go straight up to the top and then come back down, or sometimes I'll do a loop. So there's two variations of my hiking practice. And then there's also a little short hill with a loop that allows me to walk my dog. So maybe 5 times a week, I'll walk my dog around that loop. But what I'll do then is sometimes I take a staff or a sword or my nunchakus or my tonfas, and I'll walk with those, and I start to warm up and move and play. And then I go over a form or something like that. And I'm in the woods. I'm on the forest floor, and I'm breathing in the air of the forest there as well. And I do a lot. I do the hiking, I do the walking, I take the swords and the staff and the various weapons. And so that's how my practice is integrated right now. And it's often that I'm able to do that. It's not so often that I'm able to practice form the way that I want to, or structure form practice the way that I want to, or structure the basics the way that I've been acclimated to practicing basics. But that's why I also have my teaching practices as well, because that helps me to revisit those and to help and facilitate others, and give me uh that sense of feeling of going back and then being on a flat ground, no other variables. You have an allotted time, an hour, to practice and to go over something. So I hope that gives a little bit of idea on how my regimen is.
Yeah, actually it does. And tell me something. What about partner drills? Like, like, I'll give you an example. You remember Yakov? Yakov, the ninjutsu guy? He
I
was a student of
remember
mine, and he used
a
to.
ninjutsu guy. I do.
Yeah, and he was in our seminar. He's a fantastic martial artist. He died actually
Oh,
2 years later. Actually, I was gonna do the staff seminar, the same one that we did together
yep.
in 2021, I think it was. And the evening before, I called him and he didn't answer me. And he always did answer me when I called him. So I felt something's wrong, but it was also something in my heart. And I sent one of my students, that is a mutual friend of ours, is his student as well. And he had an accident and he died the evening before the seminar started. I
Oh
think it's
my
the
God.
only seminar I ever canceled in my life. In any
Wow.
event, yeah, in any event, I used to we used to beat each other with Raten staff. We used to kind of friendly fighting, it's like same stuff that we used to do. And we used to do that like we had a regular session. He was my assistant instructor in Tivon in the north, and we would meet there like an hour and a half before, bring some rattan staff, bow, long one, and enjoy, practice a bit together and fight.
Uh-huh.
And that was so good, you know. It's like, and he was really good. He beat me up quite badly anyway. but that's how you learn, and then I don't have that. So I remember complaining to Dr. Young that I don't have people to do pushing hands with in Israel. And he looked at me and he said, so teach. What do you think? Everybody in the United States knew it when I came here?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, okay. So I did. And I think when you live like off grid, it's up to you and Nona to kind of hold this up together, right?
Yeah. We have moments where we are maybe preparing a meal or after a meal or getting ready, you know, to take a shower or after shower and go to bed, and we'll do some centering together or some practice.
Yeah.
We often teach together and offer workshops, and I like to teach people and to demonstrate and to do with her the yin yang symbol.
Yeah.
The yin yang is like universally recognized. People attached to yin yang identify with yin yang. And a lot of people don't know that there's a movement sequence and a partner sequence, solo and partner, of yin yang. So that's something that I've added to and used to stimulate people's interest and minds and vision. And but as far as partner work, that is definitely lacking. What I will say is trees, stumps, logs, batteries, all of these things, the resistance that have a component of resistance and resistance training, reinforce the structural body awareness and regulation that I've learned.
For that, absolutely. But I don't think it can really replace sharpening your instincts, because
No,
they don't trip your leg, you know, and they don't sweep you off your feet, and they won't step aside and lock you suddenly, and
of
it's
course,
different, you know. It's like, so you
of
do
course,
need you do need people to do that, and you do
yes,
need people on a higher level to do that. It
yeah,
can't be just your students, or let's say it can be anything, but it preferably you should have some people to work with.
right, yes, and I would say that that's what life does too.
Yeah.
The destabilization that the partner does is the same destabilization that life in the universe throws at you. And so those exchanges are super helpful and similar to the partner practice being a foundation for self-regulation, um, regulating emotional mind, regulation of psychology, body structure, and the harmony of those. And I think that that is one of the gems of the Chinese systems that we haven't yet tapped into to help facilitate our learning and our growth as a human family. And so that's one of the things that's inspired my thinking, my meditation, and my growth practice and sharing moving forward. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but I just wanted
Actually,
to
that does.
share that. Yeah.
It absolutely does. Um, what about Taha? What is he up to? He
You
had
know,
his school. He had
I
his school
just
in Egypt.
I just messaged Taha and he's adding to his family. I don't know how many kids he's had, but I had the inclination when I was also recommunicating with you. I reached out to him, and he just had a baby. So
Great.
yeah,
That's
I
such
wonder
wonderful.
about many of these people. I'm terrible at keeping in touch. I am terrible at
I'm
keeping
even
in touch.
worse, man. You're good. I'm even worse. I mean, it's you that hit me, and I just jumped on it. but but
That's one of my downfalls. So I have to always just say that, I'm really bad at keeping in touch. Apologize.
well,
But when
can I
when
say
I
it for both of
reconnect,
us? Once a friend,
yeah,
it's always a friend, and when we connect, it
yes,
just keeps on from the place we left it. It's like,
exactly, exactly, yeah, exactly,
uh, so man, I'm really looking forward to doing something with you guys again
yeah,
in the near future. We can speak about next summer. I'm really first of all, it'd be good for me to get out of the desert for the summer. It was too hot. And I'm kind of looking into retreat centers in Greece, like I told you. And it was great doing the seminar. Well, it was always great practicing, learning from you and everything. And it was really great doing the seminar together. I had a great time when you were in my place in Israel.
and you're a great
Uh,
host.
thank you.
You and
And I,
Seema, yes, are great hosts, and you have a wonderful group of practitioners. They are just heartfelt, and they love you so much, and they appreciate you, and they love the knowledge and appreciate the knowledge as well. And I had a great time meeting with them and connecting them with them in Miranda, and then also in Israel as well.
yeah, right. You were also our host when I brought a group of my students to see Dr. Young and spend a week there.
Yeah, yeah,
But I,
those are good
but I
times.
yeah, absolutely. And I think it was 2017 maybe when I brought the group to Miranda. That's quite a while ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm trying to think. I said I graduated in 2019. Maybe it was in 2018. I can't remember now.
I think it
2009.
was 2018 because 2019 I remember you being on and off. Like I remember coming one time in the winter when you were not there
Yeah.
and asking
Uh-huh.
about you, and they said that yeah, he just went. I think you went to Houston to your folks or something like that.
Yeah. 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 And I think Nona graduated 2019 because it was like a year after or something like that. Yeah.
I don't think there were any graduations after that because 2020 the place closed down.
Ah, huh. Okay. Well, I
I
graduated first, then graduated. And I
yeah.
took a year. I left for a year or something like that. And then I came back because she was still there too. And then I
Well,
stayed a little bit. And then that's when we started to integrate into the community. Well, I started to integrate into the community, which I never, we never did. Staying there on the mountain, we, but when I graduated, then I started to do that, and now man, I'm really involved in the community now. I'm really involved in the community now, which is really interesting, and just starting to get to a place where I'm sharing, the knowledge, with and reconnect with a lot of other practitioners. There's a lot of other healers and practitioners that love the hills and that are attracted to the beautiful space and place that we live in, which is great to connect with.
I can absolutely identify with wanting to live there. It's a beautiful place. And you know what? If I didn't have so many kids, I might take Seema and the two little ones and come and stay with you guys for a while and find a place in our area, in your area. But there's a lot of practitioners in different disciplines.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've met and hung out, and I have a radio show that I do with a Bagua practitioner.
Is that the talking chi thing that I see on your Zoom?
Yes, I have a on our YouTube channel. I've been putting quite a bit of energy into conversations, like interviews and podcasts and whatnot. And I have a person who grew up during the Civil War in Beirut and
Ooh,
is now a Bagua practitioner. and musician. And and so he's used music to heal himself over the years, from the trauma, and also bagua and yogic practices. So he's a great friend and asset that I've met with, and have started a brotherhood, with him as well. And gosh, just so appreciative to appreciate people that are on the path and in the practice, and know what it's like and what it entails. Yeah.
So where is your show? It's like a radio show, or it's an
Well,
online YouTube thing?
yeah, so locally I'm involved with the local radio station, and I have a monthly show. What I do is I video it, and I put it onto our YouTube channel. And one of the things about qigong, this too, is the ability to learn and the skill of learning.
Absolutely.
So I find myself wanting to do a lot of things, wanting to learn a lot of things. I just picked up chess recently.
Okay. You never played chess before?
Oh no. No, I probably, when I was a kid, a couple of times, but interestingly, on the mountain, a few people played chess here and there, but I just didn't have the interest, or probably the capacity uh and to bring it on. But it sort of called to me, and it maybe was a pandemic thing. And so and a few friends in the community play, and so I was like, wow, that would be interesting to connect with other folks on. So I picked it up, and it's caught my attention. And there's so many interesting things in terms of competition, gamesmanship, sportsmanship, emotional regulation, attachment to outcome, that really overlaps for me.
Chess is great. The chess is really
Yeah.
great. I played quite a lot of chess, but actually, I think I kind of played all the way up to my mid 30s. And then I think it's a great game. I think you develop a lot of great skills playing chess, which
Yeah.
are really skills for life. But I think for the lack of time, it's like for the same reason that I don't watch Netflix, or I don't know. It's like there's just 24 hours a day, and what's important for me is my practice. I'm really into medicine. I'm somehow I wasn't so much into it for like 5 or 6, 7 years maybe, and I kind of since I left the clinic, but lately there's so much new science about longevity, and there's so much interesting things that I kind of got that passion back. So I've spent a lot doing that, and I actually developed a new course, which is called the Total Wellness Course, where we learn about the skills of sleeping, how to master sleeping. Because
Ooh.
yeah, it's not just pillow time. It's not, and sleep is the bedrock of health. Definitely, when I have a good sleep, I kick ass. Excuse my French, but I know my qigong is better. I'm better in the gym. I'm better surfing waves. You know what? I'm a better father, and I'm a better friend. Okay, just like that.
Yeah.
And when I don't sleep good, my day drags. It really does. I'm just not even half the capacity of what I can be.
Well, I would
And
love to talk with you on our next Talking Chi show about Qigong and sleep, because um, I developed a short curriculum around Qigong and sleep, because I totally agree with you. And I've had my own journey as well with sleep and efficiency, and maximizing that as a healing, as a medicine. Yeah, that'd be
yeah,
great.
I'm on. Tell me when it
Cool.
is, and I'm there. Yes, please. And
Yeah.
and I can tell you that learning, really getting deep into how to master sleep. Don't you find it ridiculous that people, like let's say doctors, They do not spend a single hour, a single lecture learning about sleep, and it's such a foundation of health. And I went with a deep dive back into nutrition, which I was an expert before, but I see things a bit different today than I did. I can tell you that before we discuss vegan or not vegan, or should you eat a paleo or ketogenic, cut that out for a moment, and let's see the basics. Are you over muscled, adequately muscled, or under? How's your body composition? What's your compound? Okay, are you overnourished or undernourished? Because if you're overnourished, even if it's the best food in the world, all organic, whatever path you chose to stick with, if you're overnourished, you're going to develop visceral fat. You're going to be pro-inflammatory. And there's so many markers which are going to go up, even if you eat the best diet, but too much of it.
I would love to connect more on the newest science if that's something that you're following, because I have an interest in that. And often I do gravitate, and my interest does go there as well. So I'd love to connect more on that.
Sure. I'm all in. And let's plan another one. Other than that, it's just great to see you, man. I really miss you guys.
Yes, please give my best to the family there, and it's good to see you have another beautiful child. Of all the children you have, it's inspiring, and maybe I'll get started too.
You have a purpose. You have something to get up in the morning for. You have something to work towards. I think that's so important. And if your values are not more digits in your bank account, but it's or more real estate, but it's better self-recognition, better health, the ability to enjoy the people you love and the life you love, nature and all that, then you work towards that. And I think we all need something to get up in the morning for.
Well, and this circles back to, Qigong and the investment that you sort of spoke to. This has really helped me have the Qigong lens. Like when you talk about fatherhood and parenting, you have a Qigong lens about it, right? When
Absolutely.
you want to be able to surf and kick your son's ass when he's 13 when you're 68. And that's a health lens or what have you, but like the camaraderie, the communication, the exchange with your son, and then also communicating with your mom, it 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 brings more into the realm and the scope of qigong, because we're talking about real shit, like how we love better, how do we be better, and we all know we are going to die, but how do we live better?
That's the question. It's I to wrap it up, I'll kind of tell you a way I like to think about it. I like to think of life like free parachuting. When you pull the string, once you jump off the plane, there's one thing for sure, you're going to hit the ground. Like when you're born, there's one thing for sure, you're going to die. And let's say that your health, mental health, energetic health, and physical health is the parachute. The better you know how to use it, how to move it, and when to open it, you're going to have a nice ride. You're going to enjoy it. And the way you hit the ground is going to be smooth and you're going to roll. And if
Yes.
you don't pay attention to how to use that parachute, it's going to be pretty quick. And maybe the way you hit the ground might be more violent. So
That is
I like
great.
to think of that.
That is great. I will share what comes up for me when you share that, because when Dr. Yang told us that Tai Chi Chuan's ultimate goal is the reunification of your spirit with the spirit of nature, I was just like, that's it. I want to have a soft landing, right? And a smooth reconnection with nature spirit when it's time for me to go. That requires me not hanging on to
Absolutely.
to this body and to this world and to this realm. And Western medicine, as great as it is, treating trauma, physical trauma, acute physical trauma, it one of the shortcomings is that it keeps us from letting go. And that is, I've witnessed that with a lot of family members, and there's not that smooth landing. And one thing that came to mind, came into my sphere and circle, was the death with dignity, talking with people of hospice and whatnot. And so, and so if you, and so this is what I think about oftentimes, this idea of the goal of unification with the spirit of nature, that requires a sense of awareness and letting go that we're constantly faced with in our daily lives. How well can you let go of your expectation or of your control of your presumed outcome? How well can you let go? And I always think about, when I'm faced with that question, when I'm ready to go, or when spirit's calling me, will I let go?
I think if you had a good life and it was a meaningful life and a healthy life and you've lived it, then you can do that. And I think the problem is when you actually in the middle of life, it's like a lot of people like, come on, even Dr. Young, he had his heart attack when he was younger than me. Okay. And a lot of people, they go through a health crisis when they're really too young. And then what modern medicine does is it helps you to continue to survive and live on sick, not in health.
Mm,
And I think this is also why Dr. Young went to the mountain and changed his whole way of life and
yeah.
went into the day by day. Let's just live the ritual. Let's live the regime.
Yes.
And I think when you live like that, then a major period of your life, most of it, you can kind of really square the curve of when you fall off the cliff because your body doesn't hold anymore. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Death is not losing the game; it's part of the game,
Yeah.
and that's fine. But if you live your life when in the midst of your life, the quality of life becomes very shallow, and you drag that for 2 decades, then that's the hanging on that you're talking about. That's the not
Yeah.
being able to let go. And if you've lived well and a long life and a good life, and it's time to go, then it's time to go. And personally, I don't really want to see the day where I lose my dignity, where I lose my ability to support myself, fend for myself, and I want to be independent. And
Amen.
and and
Yeah.
this is what I wish for all of us. To live a full life, a healthy life, a fulfilling life, a meaningful life. And then when it's time to go, then it's time to go.
Yeah. And if death is beautiful, then aging is
It's beautiful
part of
too.
that is part of that beautification process. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I can tell you something because,
Yes.
how old are you exactly? Like 40,
42.
42. Okay. So there's kind of almost 15 years between us.
Okay.
And I can tell you that you're in the transition where you can no longer put all your cards on you. You have to start working smarter with your body, being
Yeah.
more efficient, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. and I think you are over-equipped and overqualified for doing this, to kind of start using your wits, the body's wits, you know? It's like the knowledge which is in the body to move right, to be
Yeah.
efficient with how you do it. It's like, you know, a good, efficient swimmer will outswim me and you, even if he's older than us in 15 years.
Yeah.
And, and, um, and I can tell you from my experience that in the beginning of my 40s, I felt like I'm going downhill. And then I managed to turn it around by being smarter and, let's say, also more polite, if you have it like that, towards my
Yeah.
body,
Right.
giving more emphasis on my sleep, more emphasis on recovery,
Yes.
watching out not to get hurt like I didn't
Yes.
when I was young, because
Right.
it's much more expensive in my age than it was in my 20s.
Right.
And it's also about having vacations. Like if you cut the line, the continuity of your practice for 1 month in your 50s, it takes you so long to get back in the game.
Mm.
And then it becomes not only about how you play the game, but also about how you stay in the game.
Mm.
And your
Yeah.
whole practice and your whole awareness when you practice uh, sort of upgrades. It's like in some senses you become better. I can tell you that I surf better than ever.
Uh-huh.
And I take the waves that I know I'm going to enjoy. But then if
Yeah.
I have a GoPro and kind of films what you're surfing, man, I'm the
Cool.
best I ever was. Not that I'm a
Wow.
great surfer, I'm pretty average, but so compared with myself, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that you'll find that coming in the coming decade or the coming 5, 6 years, how you get the best version of Javi. And there's a moment where you can still climb, although you may be going a bit down on the physical level, but you're going up on other levels, and in the overall, you're kind of at your best. And I think it's just around your over 65, maybe 70, that what to do. You're not going to be able to pull that through forever. But then you can still, I think it really matters how you get there. I mean,
Thanks. Yeah.
does that make sense?
It makes all the, and interestingly, right? We talked about finding the time to do the practice. That's what makes the practice real, is the aging.
Yeah.
Like, so with the aging, you have now all of these opportunities to connect with your body and your health and your longevity.
Wow, Javi, I see that I'm on the last percentage of the battery of my iPad, so
Okay.
it's gonna cut. So, man, I give you a virtual hug, a big one, and hopefully we meet very soon to give a real one. And just call me up or write me and tell me when you want to have me on your show, and let's do that.
All
I'll
right.
be honored. Love
Thanks
you,
for the
man.
time. Thanks for the time, and thanks for the inspiration and the
Thank you.
practice.
Thank you,
Take
man.
care.